Hi, Esther. I hope all is going well on your side.
Hi. Yes,
Hi.
all is well.
So, thank you for joining me today in this conversation following your Instagram residency with us. First, I want everybody to know that this conversation will be conducted in English as it's your preferred language. But subtitles in French are available below at the bottom of the screen. So I'd like to begin this conversation by really expressing my gratitude to the people and the relationships that we are currently building on this land and here at Limagier. Whether it is with artists such as yourself, but also with communities near and far as well. And I'm talking to you from Limagier, which is located on unceded and unconquered territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. And you are joining me from Montreal. And so, as an institution, but first and foremost, I would say as individuals, we want to contribute to the process of healing and reconciliation through open-mindedness and genuine reciprocal relationships. And I would add that this openness and commitment is not limited to Indigenous communities, but it also extends to those representing visible minorities such as people of colors, African descendants, neurodiverse people as well, LGBTQ plus communities, and really whomever doesn't fit in the expected criteria or normalization of society. And so, having said that, we can begin this conversation with, openness and care for each other. So this week you've been sharing your work and a critic really via your artistic practice about this hot topic that is Eurocentric beauty standards. And you've talked about notions of identity, beauty, and creativity through the lens of fictional narration and imagination. So my first question to you, you were born in Longueuil, Quebec, and you are of Haitian and Ivorian descent. You are known as well as Queen Easy, a body hair activist. So I'd like for you to first introduce yourself in your own words and tell us more about representation of Black women in your work.
Okay. So my name is Calixte-Béa. I'm also known as Queen Essie, the body hair activist. That's online. So I always say I mention both names because some people know me just as Queen Essie. So I like to put them both together.
Okay.
I'm a multidisciplinary artist. I paint, I draw, I write. I also sew. Basically, I explore a lot of different kind of mediums to kind of like talk about a message I'm trying to talk about, which is like the taboo of female body hair and other, other issues that I feel I want to discuss like through the characters that I create. And to me, representing a Black woman is super important because I myself am a Black woman, but also because I feel that there's a lack of representation, especially in Quebec. When I go to the museum and things like that, I don't really see a lot of Black women in those kind of spaces. When I became a body hair activist, I knew that I wanted to I knew that it was important to represent body hair on women because it's a taboo and it's we have body hair, but also Black women because also like for myself, I'm hairy because of like my ancestors and that's part of like who I am, and so I think it's important to represent Black women in that way as well.
Yeah, and I mean, we can see that throughout your publications and how you highlight the importance of seeing diverse body types and expressing individuality as well. So could you tell me more about you talk about body positivity movement that you're a part of. So can you, tell me more about that?
Yeah, so the body positivity movement has always existed, but it became more popular, especially during like the pandemic, because we weren't, shaving, a lot of us, and also, women want to stop having this particular body type that they have to look like, and so a lot of women, curvy women, were showing their bodies, like Ashley Graham, and making a difference for women that don't fit that box. And so I think body hair kind of came afterwards. It was there, but it was still a big taboo, and it still is. And so separately, there's the body hair movement. There's like two body hair movements, like January in January and Mi Poil here in Montreal. And so for us, it's really about like talking about body hair, removing the shame specifically, whether it's like genetic or you have PCOS or any hormonal issues. It's about feeling comfortable with your body as is and not feeling the pressure to kind of like remove it or because especially when it comes to body hair, like myself as a hairy woman, removing it is very painful. It grow like you get even more hair, and so because of that, and because of like body hair movements, you kind of get to question whether you actually like your body hair, or it's really society told you to like hate it and gave you, I guess, certain solutions to remove it when it's completely natural.
Mm-hmm. As you have like definitely a presence on social media, I'm curious as well to hear about how a virtual residency like this one, where you get to showcase your message. So how does it contribute to your artistic thought process? What did you learn through this experience of doing this virtual residency, I guess?
I mean, I really enjoyed it. I'm already like really on social media, and I think that
Yeah.
I like writing, first of all. It's very different when you're writing your thoughts compared to when you're saying them. I feel like it's more vulnerable. Well, for me, I become more vulnerable when I write my thoughts, when I see the words that are written instead of just saying them out loud. And so a residency like that really helped me kind of talk about my project, but really to kind of like almost like a diary, really like make it personal for people to really understand why I created this tribe, and also get to see, especially because it's accessible, they get to see both my social media accounts and see where my ideas come from and what I'm talking about. So it's very easy to kind of connect all my ideas through this Instagram residency.
I mean, we'll talk about this imaginary world and the creation of this tribe a little further. But to come back to what you were saying about this obligation, maybe from society to get rid of your hair, that brings me to the notion of rituals. And so you talk about that and how essential, daily life rituals are. Not removing hair, obviously, but when it comes down to body hair, how this is a symbol of maturity and fertility. And I think these are two interesting notions that I would like for you to expand maybe and, talk about ritualistic practices.
Obviously, when it comes to ritual, it tends to be really associated with like religion. It's an activity that we do, that we're taught sometimes at a young age. And so through that tribe, I really wanted to create rituals, because a ritual is also like part of your culture. It's something that also can be part of your identity, especially if you're in a community that practices the same rituals. And so in that tribe that I'm creating, I wanted to create rituals really around body hair, because when we think of rituals here, not in the imaginary world, but here, especially shaving and like putting makeup on, those are rituals that as women we're taught at a young age that that's what we're gonna do, and we just should do. We have to look presentable. We have to fit the box, so we don't. So we're accepted in society. Having to, participate in those rituals and painful rituals, some of them, it kind of gave me the idea to create a ritual that's more about centering self-love. Just the way that I was shaving, waxing, going through all these pains, because all that pain, because I'm a woman, I want to create a ritual that kind of is almost healing, kind of like thinking about your body hair as something that is beautiful, that you want to take care of, that you want to, embrace. And that's where my ideas on rituals I think that can change, because sometimes there's rituals that we do that we don't even realize it's a ritual. And so I wanted to create a ritual that feels more like it's part of who they are, the characters in the community I'm creating, but also that is powerful.
You were just saying, talking about rituals that we have like putting makeup on. And it's funny because my daughter, like this morning, for instance, she saw me getting ready, and then, she's not even 4, and she's like, "Oh, what's that?" And very naturally, she starts, she wants to do it as well, and she wants to put makeup on. And so this is where you have to be really careful, because you kind of want to share that moment with her, but at the same time, you're like, okay. And then things like my son asking me, can I put nail polish? And I'm like, yeah, of course. But I mean, no, men don't. But anyway, so it gets really, I think, tricky very early on. And yeah, I mean, I can relate to what you're saying. And so that tribe, let's talk about that tribe, to put things back in context. So, in your post, you talk about creativity, imagination as a way to express yourself, something that was encouraged throughout your childhood. So, you've created that imaginary world, that realm, where you address those questions, societal questions, and specifically body perception issues. Why did you choose to dive into fiction? And so the creation of that tribe, and I'm going to pronounce it Fayette Suhute.
Fietse Sute.
Fietse Suhute.
Yeah.
To express your activism and issues that are very real. So why did you feel the need to go into a fictional world to talk about something that's very real?
Well, I wanted to create this tribe because I kind of wanted to create a kind of a group where I felt like I belonged, where I could like almost enter that group and imagine what the world could look like. I thought that creating that tribe gave me total freedom. As a kid, you have that freedom when you're drawing. You're not, you don't you're not at school yet, so you're not taught, okay, this is the kind of art you have to make, or, you know what I mean? So like, not put in a box. And so I wanted to kind of go back to that childlike state, because I saw my little cousins, like I mentioned, in that residency, and I kind of saw the freedom of children that they have when they're drawing, when they're creating. And I wanted to go back to that and realize that as an artist, I could create anything I want, and I could talk about something serious through imaginary characters. So creating these characters that are hairy, very inspired by my tribe, because like I mentioned, my hairiness comes from my tribe. I even went back to Ivory Coast, and women now shave, because of the pressures of society. And so to imagine myself embracing my body and what my ancestors, gave me, to go back in my country and see that most women are shaving, it's kind of like, wow, it's kind of like almost like a shock, And so by creating that tribe, it's kind of like going back and creating a kind of a community that has not been colonized, but also a community that embraces their appearance and what their identity. And so through creating that tribe, because I'm here in Canada, I could also talk about these different topics, beauty, Eurocentric beauty, things that we, especially as Black women, have chosen to, have hated because of, the community that we live in has taught us to hate, let's say, our features, like our mouth, like our big lips or our butt and things like that. And so through that tribe, I'm able to kind of like take those aspects that I already have and to love them. And so that's why I felt like creating that tribe just gave me a total freedom to express whatever I felt like I wanted to express, but also especially healing, to be able to think of myself, especially because I grew up here and I'm born here in Canada, and to kind of see this almost this disconnect that happened because of colonization as well, but also to bring that into the tribe and create really a community where I feel like it could have existed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, what kind of touching on your creative process here, and you mentioned that you were pluridisciplinary artist. So I'm curious to know about the process behind on how you choose a medium for each work or each series? You work with painting, drawings, photography. You mentioned fashion as well, poetry. So what attracts you to one medium in particular, and to share a specific message?
Yeah, photography specifically and fashion was really because I was modeling before that, and I was doing runway and like photo shoots, and I kind of realized, photography, like we said, photo has like a thousand words, and so I think photography is extremely powerful in the sense that it creates representation, and it also creates the lack of representation, especially if you keep seeing the same body type, especially in magazines and media. And it's because of that that women feel so insecure about their natural appearance. Through photography, I want to create I wanted to show myself as I am, to kind of, tell women that you could literally embrace your body as is, and not allow society to affect you and to tell you what you should find beautiful and not on your body. And so that's why I kind of used photography, because I think of magazines, I think of media, I think of what we consume as women and growing up. And also in terms of fashion, because I think that for me, clothing is really could really help you express who you are, who you think you are as well, like your identity. Especially like for me, I'm very colorful, and I like to express that as well in my clothes. And so for me, when I create a garment, it's really to bring the world that I'm creating into our physical world, to see what these characters could have worn. When it comes to drawing and painting, it's really, honestly, if I'm being really honest, it's really a feeling. Sometimes I just feel like I want to paint. Sometimes I feel like I want to draw. I can't really explain it. It just works like that. And first of all, painting is my first love. So uh, I enjoy expressing that through painting. I enjoy expressing that on large canvases because there's so much space and I can use so much color. And drawing, it's really recently that I started going back into it, like with pastels. I really enjoy also all the colorful pastels that I'm using. It's really to express this colorfulness, especially when I went back to Ivory Coast and I saw how our garments, our clothes, the fabric is so colorful, and just even when I went to Haiti, the buildings are colorful. It's just, that is just in my blood, and I think those mediums really help me express that really well. In terms of writing and poetry, I've always written since I was a kid, and that also helps me bring a different language into the work. There's the visual language, but also seeing it in writing and kind of creating a narrative around the characters, a story that you could see, but also that you could read. And that's why I enjoy bringing that aspect, kind of like a movie. That's how I see it. That's how I see my work.
Yeah, I mean, seeing how versatile you are, I want to know, what are your inspirations? Like, do you have any mentors, or do you have any women or people that you look up to, or?
I'd say my inspiration is mostly like nature. Obviously, I also use myself as a muse, but it's
Yeah.
really nature, because I really like comparing nature to the human body when it comes to grass and flowers. Because when you think about like cutting grass and then just plucking flowers, all these things, I like to compare it to the human
Yeah.
body. And so that's really mostly my inspiration. I started liking traveling because I went to Europe. I went to Cote d'Ivoire as well. The environment and the type of art that I look at as well, contemporary works, really inspire me because there's no specific artist. I mean, for a while it was Kent Monkman because I really love how he paints nature and everything. But what really inspires me is how artists, like the way they create work and how limitless it feels, and that's what really inspires me when it comes to art making. It's not really a specific artist or a specific work, but I really I absorb all that information, and that's what really inspires me to create different kind of works.
So I always like to ask artists, if they can pin down that very moment where you knew that you would be choosing this life. And so now that you've committed yourself to this path, that's it. What would you tell your old self, and maybe an aspiring artist? What are the advices that you would give? What would you tell them?
Okay. It was really in high school that I knew I was going to be an artist. That's when I
Yeah.
first painted, and I used that, I used the brush and the colors. I was like, okay, that's it. I know it. Because growing up, I wanted to be a cartoonist. But when I started painting, I knew that was it. I'm going to be a painter. I'm going to be an artist. That's my passion. And my parents already knew that I really loved making art, and that's why
Okay.
they put me in an art program. But I think that what I would tell my younger self would be to like not listen to people, because I remember like when I was in high school and everything, and I was telling people I wanted to be an artist, they were always like finding it funny because they're like, "Oh, a starving artist, you're not gonna make it." They would say all types of comments, but
Yeah.
it's really important to believe in yourself, and I'm glad that I did believe in myself, and so did my parents. So for me, what I would really say is not to listen to everybody, to really listen to people who believe in you and that want to encourage you to create. I think that sometimes, like if I'm being fully honest, even people that you may look up to that are in great positions in the art world can give you not the best advice
Yeah.
and can give you advice that will make you really doubt yourself. So it's really important to listen to people who actually believe in you. That's really what I would say to my younger self.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah. So, you're working on several projects at the moment. Do you want to share with us, what's upcoming for you? Where can we see your work next?
Yeah, so actually I have an exhibition, a group exhibition that I'm a part of called Imaginaire Souverain, and that's at Maison de la Culture Janine Suto and Galerie Charbonneau. So it's from the 17th till January 14th, no, January 15th, sorry. And yeah, so you can see my work there, but also upcoming, it's really, I just got a grant, so I'm really working on having my next solo show. But I can't say exactly when, but that's what I'll be
No
working
worries.
towards.
Yeah.
I had my first solo show in 2021. I got to present part of the tribe that I'm creating. What I really want to do is to make it even bigger, really bring stories, more poetry, all that really. So I really want to make it huge. So that's what I'm working on.
Amazing. Yeah, well, congrats, and then good luck with your work, with developing this new body of work. And of course, we can follow you on social media.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So thank you very much, Esther, for taking the time to share with me your thoughts. I really enjoyed this moment. I really like getting this opportunity to talk with the artist, especially while having a first look at the publications and reading, getting to know you online, and then after that, getting to speak with you. So that's really cool. And I hope that this conversation can change, some perceptions around us. So until next time, please continue to stay safe. Stay curious, of course. I have no doubt about that. And then, and then stay in touch.
Well, thank you. Thank you again for inviting me.
You're welcome.